Welcome to Grow It Anyway, where imperfect gardens still grow. If your plants don't look Pinterest perfect, you're in the right place. So come on, let's grow it anyway together.
Hi, I'm Donna. Welcome back to Grow It Anyway. First thing I'm going to do is tell you what we're doing today. I have overseeded some cabbages, and so we had a really bad freeze. Even though they were in my greenhouse, I think they got a little too cold and they're looking kind of pale. So we're going to kind of pot these up and we're going to have a little story time as we go. Stick around. Okay, like I said, we are going to be trying to save my little seedlings. These are the Brunswick cabbage. We're going to try to save these, and as I'm doing that, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about where I live and a little bit about me and about my growing journey. So let's get started. So first thing what I'm doing is I'm trying to pot these up, and so I have leftovers from my purchasing plants from my local garden center. I'm sure I'm not the only one that saves these, right? You guys save these. So I'm just going to be taking these little baby plants out of their cells and see they're pretty root bound. We're just going to be separating those, and I'm going to just be telling a little story why we do that. So I am a full-time employed person. My husband and I moved to our 10 acres in Oklahoma about 4 years ago. And the first year, 3.5 years ago, and the first year we got chickens. Of course, everybody who has property gets chickens, at least here in Oklahoma you do. So we started our homestead with chickens. And then the second year, the spring came around, I was like, you know what, we should grow something. We should try to grow a garden. He was just like, I've never grown anything. I'm like, I've never been good at it. Let's just give it a go. So we set up like 4 commercial raised beds just very near the side of our property. We could get to it. It's by the chicken house every day. So it wasn't too arduous to get to it. I mean, it doesn't look great, but hopefully we're living here. So I did the normal stuff. I started with lettuce because lettuce is so easy to grow. I've never found lettuce easy to grow. But I couldn't grow lettuce. I was fine until the chickens jumped up onto the garden bed and started eating everything in sight. And I was like, okay, we got to fix that problem. I got my beans started. Beans, it was like an elementary school experiment. My beans were sprouting up. I did not get one bean that year, not one. And everyone's like, oh, it's because you don't have beans or you don't have bees and the beans won't grow if you don't have bees and all of that. And that may be absolutely true. But out of my 4 okra plants, I got about 2 okra. My 3 jalapeno plants, I maybe got 1 jalapeno. Strawberry plants looked beautiful. I had a whole bed of strawberries. Didn't do anything. Maybe 1 strawberry, and I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And then fed up my problem. I didn't research this enough. So I decided I'm going to just research everything. And of course, my daughter was like, Mom, YouTube. Okay, well, I've already looked on the YouTube. But then I really started doing a deep dive. Well, my deep dive into the YouTube world, I found amazing people. Jess from Roots and Refuge taught me how to grow tomatoes. Of course, Charles Dowding taught all of us to do everything. And I really, really enjoyed the learning, but I never could figure out what I was doing wrong. I'm in zone 7A. Am I putting stuff in at the wrong time of year? Am I growing the wrong kind of things? What do I need? What do I need? And I found out that I was pretty much doing every single thing wrong. But I dug deep and I started getting serious, and I found apps and everything to help me about when to plant what, when, and it was really, really exciting. I was getting excited about a year ago this time, had everything mapped out. I had a garden plan for the first time in my life, and we put in a 30 by 50 garden and kind of did in-ground raised beds, no-till type method. And I'll have to show you this journey. It was quite the journey. We were so excited. My best friend and her husband helped my husband and I put in these beds. And then from there, we had an amazing start, back-breaking work. We had a flood. We thought we lost everything. Then we had another rainstorm. We mitigated that. And then, despite all of that, things started growing. And then I learned, oh, I've got to mulch this. I've got this straw. Let's put down some straw, some wheat straw. Well, it's not that kind of wheat straw. I had the most beautiful growth of wheatgrass, amongst everything else. My onions, my carrots, you name it. So, learned that what not to do. The wheat hay is probably not the way to go. We learned that lesson the hard way. But despite all that, we started growing things. And then here come the Bermuda grass. Now, if you do not have Bermuda grass in your area, it is the bane of every gardener's existence. And I spent time trying to weed, and I would spend hours weeding. I weeded down to the point where I was laying down and weeding, and I was so excited that my beautiful, 3 out of the 12 beds were just amazingly weeded and looked great and mulched and all of the things. So here we were in Oklahoma. We're in the throes and busyness of spring, and we're planting potatoes and we're doing all of the things. And as soon as I got one bed done on the weekend, because again, I'm working during the week, and so I have all the weekend to work in the garden, and it's beautiful in the evenings, so we'd go out there and harvest and do some things. But I just got so overwhelmed with the weeding, and I was like, I hate this. I love that I'm growing things. I love that, we are seeing things grow and it's starting to green up, and my tomatoes are growing and everything's thriving. And it was great, but I just felt like I couldn't keep up. And I had weeds and things, I had bugs. I started getting bugs, and I'm, researching and trying to find out what I did wrong. And I'm just, my garden didn't look perfect. It didn't look like every YouTube video content creator that I loved. And so I'm trying to figure out, trying to fix all of the problems, trying to figure out where I'm going wrong. And finally, my husband said something to me that was very poignant. And he goes, because I was crying. I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, why can't I have squash bugs. I didn't even know what a squash bug was. And I've got squash bugs. How do I get them to stop? And he was like, you'll meet my husband at some point. And he is quite the character. And he is the sweetest man in the entire world. And he said, honey, if you're not going to enjoy it, why do it? And I forgot. I had forgotten the reason why I wanted to start growing. Not to just provide food for me and my community and my family, and canning and doing, those preservation type things that I've gotten into and I really wanted to do, and wanted to grow my own stuff to preserve. But I forgot that I was doing this to relax and to enjoy what I was doing. And I had stopped enjoying it. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to enjoy it. So at that point, I just let all of the expectations that I had in my head that I didn't even realize I had to get the perfect garden and be the perfect gardener. And I started just going, you know what? I'm going to do what I can do. And I'm going to go to work every day. I'm going to enjoy my weekends. We're going to figure some things out. I'm going to learn how to do this better. And, I'll mulch better. And started having some success. And even with the squash bugs, it didn't kill everything. I learned how to mitigate that. And so I wanted to create this channel for me and for people like me that just needed to stop and really let some of the perfection go and just enjoy growing things. Y'all, I grew this little cabbage that has frostbite on it because my greenhouse got too cold. And I really don't know if the cabbage is supposed to look like this. I do know that it needs more nutrients, and so we're going to pot it up, and it needs some more room and doesn't need to be crowded in there. And am I going to have success? I hope so. If I get one cabbage, I'll be excited. If I can give my friends who want to grow cabbage, 3 or 4 cabbage plants, at this point behind me, I might give them 12 cabbage plants. But if I can do that, and if I can learn how to grow something better than I did the year before, then I want to do it. I'm going to grow it anyway. I don't know if this little guy's going to make it. I sure hope he does, but I'm going to keep plugging away until I figure out the way that I need to do things, the way what works for me. And and reflecting and even starting this channel, I wanted to create a space where I could pass along the things that I've learned. And it wasn't about the, bushels and bushels of cucumbers that I got. I learned that I don't need 6 bell pepper plants. I learned that I didn't need 10 poblanos or, 3 hatch chili plants, but I really need 6 hatch chili plants. I need more than 12 tomatoes. That first year that I really buckled down and I really got serious and I tried to have some success, better than the year before, I learned so much, not only about gardening, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned that me striving for perfection got into my own way, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I want to share that with you. I've never had a greenhouse before. This is new. I'm learning how a greenhouse works in my life. And I want to teach you what I've learned, and let's just do experiments together and follow up and see what happens. Let's see if this little cabbage actually makes a cabbage that I can eat. So, well, I hope that you come along with me, and we don't know what we're doing, but you know what? We're going to grow it anyway.